Good afternoon. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. I hope everybody's was blessed. We went over to my mother-in-law's house, had Christmas dinner with my mother-in-law and brother-in-law, watched a few Christmas movies. And then New Year's, we stayed home with our dogs, which we have been doing for the past 10 odd years. We don't get out and about anymore. We don't really drink anymore either, but we just don't see no need in it. And then I've been hearing a few things about the election, the presidential election. I worry about it because I feel like if Biden gets into office, I've heard a few things to where me as a small business owner, I feel like it may put my small business into jeopardy, especially with me just starting out. I've only been doing my business for a year, and so I have a feeling it's gonna put my new business into jeopardy. But at the same time, I'm not too worried about it because no matter who gets in office, God is in control, and I know God's going to protect me. Even if I do have to eventually go back to work because of who knows what's going to happen, I still believe God's going to protect me, and no matter what, God is in control. It's within His plans of the end times, and just by watching the deterioration of mankind, the hatefulness going on, I have a feeling it's coming. It's coming real soon. Now I know we don't know the day or the hour, but we are to look for signs, and I don't follow whether or not follow the signs, but my husband keeps me informed of the prophecies that's been fulfilled and stuff like that, because he's into what they call an end times watcher type person. He loves the book of Revelation. He's all into all that stuff. Me, I'm more into getting people to come and have a relationship with God. Anyways, with that being said, we are picking up in Genesis chapter 5. I'm going to read Genesis chapter 5 and then go over my notes from my study Bible. And let's begin. So in Genesis chapter 5, we're starting off with the genealogy of Adam, or the family of Adam. I like the genealogies because I think they're fascinating to see from Adam and Eve all the way down to Jesus, and it shows them. And it doesn't name everybody because that would be a lot of people to be naming, and the book would be a whole lot bigger than what it is if you named everybody's in the genealogy and what they did and how they lived. So in Genesis, I think chapter 4, in Genesis chapter 4, you have the family line of Cain, and it was very short except for when you got to the Canaanite Lamech, and then they named three of his sons, and what they did for different work aspects. But now you're getting into the genealogy of Seth. With that being said, let's get into I'm going to start off. This is the book of the genealogy of Adam. In the day of that, God created man. He made him in the likeness of God. He created them male and female, and blessed them and called them mankind in the day that they were created. And Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness, and after his image, and named him Seth. After he begat Seth, the days of Adam were 800 years. He had sons and daughters. So all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. Seth lived 105 years and begat Enosh. After he begat Enosh, Seth lived 807 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. Enosh lived 90 years and begat Canaan. After he begat Canaan, Enosh lived 815 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Enosh were 905 years, and he died. Canaan lived 70 years and begat Mahalalel. After he begat Mahalalel, Canaan lived 840 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. Mahalalel lived 65 years and begat Jared. After he begat Jared, Mahalalel lived 830 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Mahalalel were 95 years, and he died. Jared lived 162 years and begat Enoch. After he begat Enoch, Jared lived 800 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. Enoch lived 65 years and begat Methuselah. After he begat Methuselah, Enoch walked with God with 300 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Methuselah lived 187 years and begat Lamech. After he begat Lamech, Methuselah lived 782 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. Lamech lived 182 years and had a son, and he called his name Noah, saying, This one will comfort us concerning our work and the toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord has cursed. After he begat Noah, Lamech lived 595 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and died. And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begat Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So Genesis chapter 5, verse 1. This is the second of family records, the Toldoth, or genealogy. In Genesis, this is the second family records in Genesis. Okay, sorry, I kind of scribbled this to where I couldn't read it. Each section contains genealogical and historical accounts regarding a descendants of the people or things named in each section. Only the Sethite genealogy is called the genealogy of Adam. Seth's line is noted as being righteous, and emphasis is given to the fact that Adam was created in God's likeness, a characteristic passed to the future generations. Genesis 5:3. Verse 2, there are four themes of chapter 1 that are repeated and extended to Seth's genealogy. 1. God created male and female. God created man, male and female, making it possible for humans to fulfill the divine mandate to create offspring, be fruitful, and multiply. People are not God. They were created in His image. If you have a pastor that is trying to preach this little God thing, get away, because we were not created as gods. We were created only in His image. That's it. Humanity has been specially blessed by God. Humanity is under God's authority simply by the fact God assigned them a name. Verse 3, God created Adam. Adam begat Seth. Adam is made in God's image, whereas Seth is made in Adam's image. Like God, Adam named the one he was responsible for. Verse 4, had sons and daughters is repeated 10 times in Seth's genealogy. It never occurs in Cain's. Seth's line being more faithful to God, fulfilling God's command to be fruitful and multiply, Genesis 1:28. Verse 5, Adam lived 930 years. Only three other people lived longer. Noah, 950 years. Jared, 962 years. And Methuselah, 969 years. Adam dying emphasizes the truth of God's curse following Adam's sin. Genesis 3:19. It is repeated 7 times in chapter 5, demonstrating the lasting consequences of Adam's sin. Verses 21 through 24, verses 6 through 20 is basically a rundown from Seth to Jared, or Enoch, I'm sorry. So Seth was 105 when he had Enosh and lived 912 years. It's basically showing how long people lived back then. So Seth lived a total of 912 years, where he had, and then when he was 105 years old, he had Enosh. Enosh was 90 years old when he had Canaan and lived 905 years. Canaan was 70 years old when he had Mahalalel, and he lived 910 years old. He lived 910 years altogether. Mahalalel was 65 years when he had Jared. And Mahalalel lived 890 years. Jared was 162 years when he had Enoch. And Jared lived 962 years. So it's just showing, from verses 6 through 20 is showing the longevity of people's lives. And then I think it stopped off at Enoch, because Enoch was the one that walked with God, or God took him up. And then from Enoch, after Enoch, the people that were facing death again. So verses 21 through 24, Enoch means dedication. He was 65 years when he had Methuselah. Enoch walked with God 300 years. Enoch's life has a significant contrast to Lamech's, Cain's 7th generation. Lamech, notorious for immorality and violence, Enoch walked with God 300 years, suggesting he lived a life consistent to God's will and experiencing fellowship with God, similar to Adam before the fall, and Noah did, and as Noah did in in chapter 6. Enoch's life differs from others in 2 ways. One, his righteousness is highlighted twice in verses 22 and 24. Enoch walked with God. 2, his end of life is mysterious. He was not, for God took him. New Testament confirms the meaning. Enoch was taken away, so he did not see death. Hebrews 11:5. Enoch, similar to Elijah's, another prophet predicted to be one of the 2 witnesses in Revelation, 2 Kings 2:11. Both are anticipation to the experiences Christians will experience in the end times, 1 Corinthians 15:51 through 55, and 1 Thessalonians 4:17. So basically, from the way I'm understanding in this, is that Enoch, God taking Enoch and him not seeing death, is a look into what's going to happen during the rapture, during the end times, or before the end times. There's like there's like pre-rapture, or was it there's a pre, a mid, and a post. Whether the rapture's going to happen before the end times, or during pre-tribulation, mid-tribulation, or post-tribulation is what I'm trying to get at. There he goes. So pre-tribulation would be for people who believe that we're going to be raptured up before the tribulation starts. Mid-tribulation is going to be, we're going to see the beginning of the end times, but then we're going to get raptured up before the really bad stuff happens. And then the post-tribulation is going to be, okay, after all the, was it the 100 years or something like that? And then we get raptured up before God hands down his final judgment. Anyways, verses 25 through 27. Methuselah is the oldest person in the Bible, living 969 years. He was 187 years when he had Lamech. Lifespans in the beginning were much larger or longer than today's lifespan. God was still filling the earth, especially on Seth's side. So God was filling with Seth's line, following God's will, and trying to be good examples to the other nation. Well, we'll get into nations later on after Noah, but they're walking and trying to experience fellowship, and not trying, but they're experiencing fellowship with God. Maybe not to the extent that Enoch did, but they were more in line to God and doing his will. So God continues filling the earth with Seth's line, is the way I'm understanding it. Verse 28 through 30, Lamech and Seth's genealogy is different from Lamech from Cain's genealogy. Both are the only ones to have quotations attributed to them. The Sethite Lamech spoke of hope and deliverance, whereas Canaanite Lamech spoke of murder and vengeance in Genesis 4, 23 through 24. The Sethite Lamech was 182 years when he had Noah living, and he lived 777 years. Lamech named the son mentioned Noah, Noah meaning rest or relief. Lamech prophesied that Noah would live up to his name. He would comfort humanity concerning our work and the toil of their hands that had resulted from Adam's sin. Verse 31, last comparison between Cain's Lamech and Seth's Lamech is the use of sevens. Cainite Lamech mentioned Cain's sevenfold curse and pronounced a 77-fold curse on anyone who would bring death to him. Sethite Lamech lived 777 years before he passed. The author including a figure consisting of 3 sevens would have trumped the first of Cain's the first of Cain's numbers, and have a sense of completeness and perfection of this man's life. Verse 32, Noah being mentioned serves as both a conclusion to this section of Genesis and introduces the main human character of the next section. So as we get into chapter 6, we're going to get to know Noah a little bit, Noah and his sons a little bit better, especially Noah. And then I think it's after the flood that we get to know Noah's sons a little bit better. So I do hope y'all enjoyed this. I'm going to start trying to do these videos either Thursdays or Fridays. Haven't pinpointed that down yet. It'll be probably Thursdays because my husband goes to church when he comes home and stuff. So if I don't get the videos done during the day, I can do it while he's at church. And then don't forget your copy, or to get a copy of Someone to Believe In. You can get it at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or iTunes. I've seen it at Walmart. I've seen it on christianbooks.com. I haven't seen it at Walmart. I've seen it on their website. So walmart.com. I want to say I seen it on target.com, but my sister and I went and looked at Target, and then I looked on their website again this weekend. I didn't see it on there anymore, but you can try them. Anyways, there's several outlets for you to be able to purchase this book. The hardbacks are $31.95. Paperbacks are $18.95, and then I think the ebook is $9.95, which you can get through iTunes or Amazon. Actually, you can get them all, through all three, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and iTunes, the ebook. So get your copy. Someone to believe in. You won't regret it. It's a really, really, really good book. And I'm not saying that because I'm biased. I'm just saying it's a really, really good book. Alright. With that being said, y'all have a very blessed week. And I will see y'all for Genesis chapter 6.